so as acts of creation, but also as using the tools that they had at their disposal, which is why I'm calling this resistance, right? They were taking the leftover pieces that no one else wanted. They were taking the pieces of the pig that no one else wanted to use. So you wanted a pork chop, but you didn't want the pig intestines. But they took the pig intestines and they cleaned them and they seasoned them and they created a meal for them. And as someone who just recently moved to Nashville, when I look at what they're calling Southern cuisine, what I know is that this is food that actually was created by enslaved people. And we have elevated to hot cuisine, essentially, right? And so they were taking the leftover parts, they were taking the ears and the feet. I don't even eat this stuff, but they were taking it, right? And they were creating meals from it. What they were doing was actually an act of resistance, and I need you to understand it as such. They were saying that in places where we were going to be treated as lesser than, and we were going to be given that which was inferior, that which was lesser than, that which no one else could use. We used it, and we elevated it, and we created a cuisine out of it. One of the acts of resistance that you see in the literature by enslaved women, some of them chose not to run away because they had children. Some of them chose not to fight physically because sometimes they could not. But we see and we have recorded in places like American History and the Monk acts of resistance of poisoning the food. And so I remember when I read that, the first time I encountered that these enslaved women poisoned food, I said, what happened here, right? Well, here was the thing about food poisoning. It's 1860. You don't know whether you have food poisoning because someone poisoned you or because you're leaving food outside. There's no refrigeration, there's very little preservation of the food. But these were acts of resistance to their condition. They're acts of resistance of stealing food and feeding their children while they themselves went hungry. Right? And so I'm thinking about all three of these things, all three of these stories together. Both the story of feeding your children and learning how to prepare Russian food, even though you're a native of Mississippi, because your children that you adopted from Russia love this food. And the story of creation from nothing, looking in the refrigerator, seeing nothing, and yet somehow someone else is able to see a meal. And then this final story of thinking about my enslaved ancestors who resisted their bondage, created all kinds of meals, would garden in secret, would steal food, would climb trees to get the parts of the berries that no one else used. And I'm coming to these three conclusions. One is that what food and theology teaches us is that we really have to take seriously all kinds of source materials for theological reflection. Often in theology, we take the sacred texts of a tradition seriously, right? It's the Bible, it's the Quran, it's the Torah. But those aren't the only things that inform how we do theology. The second piece of this is that we have to take stewardship seriously. Those scraps, those bits, those pieces still have value. And so for families that could not afford a blanket, or because of Jim Crow could not go into a store and buy a blanket, those scraps that they weaved together or knitted together or